Yo, what's up? What's up? I'm just getting things settling in here. Let me know if the mic and the music sound okay. This will be pretty short, but it's another kind of like test stream. I'm streaming on multiple platforms today, so I just want to see how everything is working across all the platforms and make sure I've got music is right and all of that. What's up, Ish? I see you over here on TikTok. So yeah, I'm trying out. I'm streaming on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. All right, so I'm gonna get drawing here. If the music or volume on the mic need to be changed, just let me know. And if you do say something in the chat, I don't get to you right away. I'm going between multiple screens here, so I'm not ignoring you. I just might miss your chat. So today, basically, kind of two birds, one stone, testing out how everything goes across the different streaming platforms, and I'm also working on some layouts for a comic book that I'm working on. So I figured I'd share that process as I go. If you have questions about anything in particular, just let me know. So this program I'm working in is Clip Studio Paint. This is primarily an illustration based for illustration, mainly for making comics. So we've got some really cool tools in here which helps with the comic making process. We'll go over those tools a little bit more in other videos and other streams. But this perspective setup here is pretty nice in the program. So as much fun as drawing buildings can be, it is a fairly tedious process, but it can really add a lot to the story, and it can really make a background can really become like a character in the story. So it's super important to take your time and come up with some interesting and cool environments and backgrounds to really kind of ground the characters and give them a place in a world that feels real, that they could be really walking around in. Really helps with the immersion. I've had to work a lot at backgrounds over the years. It's not like my favorite part of the drawing process. So I've spent some time it's really good to do different reference, like when you're out and about, if you visit a new city, it's really good. You can bring your sketchbook with you. Sketch the various buildings, different landmarks, and things like that. That way when you come to draw a scene like this, you kind of have that visual vocabulary that you've been building up in your sketchbook and in your head of real live locations that exist. Then you could draw on, and no pun intended, but you can literally draw upon like that experience you have of seeing these places and drawing them before. Even if you're not going for a very realistic style, and you have more of a cartoony or exaggerated style like mine, creating backgrounds that have a lot of detail, that feel like people actually live there, again, just really helps immerse your characters in that world and makes them a little bit more believable for the readers. So you don't have to get super crazy realistic with what you're drawing, you know, just a little bit of realism is enough to help ground the characters in that place. For me, I've always really enjoyed the storytelling aspect of comics, so the overall flow of the page, how the characters interact, their expressions, backgrounds, and what they can bring to the story and become characters themselves. So I really enjoy the storytelling aspect of comics a lot, so that's kind of where my style comes from and leans towards. I don't have a very overly realistic style or anything where I need a lot of heavy reference. I use plenty of reference for drawing either buildings or, like, even on this page, a helicopter and whatnot, but I'm not trying to create anything that looks exactly like it does in real life. I'd rather have an art style where, you know, maybe it's a little more cartoony, a little more exaggerated. That way I can, it doesn't take me quite as long to draw a single page. There's a lot of cool stories out there that I'd like to tell. Some stories that I have and I've created, and stories that I've created with friends of mine, writer friends of mine, I'd like to get to. So I'd rather be able to have an art style that's more focused on the storytelling, a little more simple or straightforward in the style, but allows me to be able to create a little bit quicker, and that way I could create more stories as opposed to, you know, spending a whole year on just one story. Maybe I could tell 2 or 3 stories in that year instead. And that's certainly just personal preference. That's just how I enjoy working and kind of what I like out of comics. But everybody's going to have their own preferences as far as that goes. You know, there's artists out there that are very realistic and very detailed, and their work takes quite some time to produce, and that's their style. That's how they like to draw, and that's how they like to work. So yeah, you know, I encourage you just to find what works for you, you know, and always stick to your guns. Be the artist that you want to be. I know early on when I was going to portfolio reviews and getting all different feedback from editors and whatnot, from different companies and going to conventions and whatnot, I I took everything everybody said and I tried to incorporate it into my work, and that ended up just kind of like stifling my work and burning me out over all those years. So now, you know, I've learned that lesson, and I just stick a little bit more closely to the stuff that I enjoy doing and how I want to create. That's why it's nice to work on like stories that either you've created yourself or that you're creating with somebody else that's close to you. Um, you know, that way it's your story. You can see it through the way you want to see it through. You don't have to worry about any, you know, external editorial feedback. You know, editorial feedback is great and it's a must, especially like in instances where the editor wants to catch certain storytelling mistakes or you know, character inconsistencies, story inconsistencies, and things of that nature and whatnot. But as far as people telling you what style works best to, you know, have a job in comics or work in comics consistently, you know, that's something that you kind of just got to do on your own. You know, find what you enjoy and stick to it. You know, you like working in a more of a cartoony style, then you work in a cartoony style. Don't let anybody tell you, oh no, that's not a commercial style, or that's not viable, or vice versa if you work in a realistic style or a painterly style or anything like that, you know. All these streams will be pretty chill. You know, this is just me working, trying to get some stuff done. Figured to do it online. People can check out my process. If they have any questions in particular, I can share some insight. And also, I'll be creating some new how to draw videos here in the near future as well. We're going to continue our basic how to draw series. We'll move into faces, features of faces, so on and so forth, and we'll get into some more of the comic making aspect. I've also got a couple of logo design videos I'd like to make as well, getting back to Affinity Designer. But again, for now, just really wanted to come on here and make sure we got the music working okay, the mic's okay. Now, like for this main like layout, thumbnail part of the page here, I like to give myself enough information before I try to hop into the final art of it, the final pencils or the final inks. I keep it loose enough to be able to add some detail as I go in the final inks, so I don't have to like force myself in anything in particular here. Kind of enjoy working on the fly, so. So what I'll end up doing too is these are just kind of layouts, so I usually do a very loose, light sketch, which is what I'm working on top of here, and that's basically my thumbnail. That allows me just to get the overall composition of the page and the flow of the panels down pretty quickly. So a lot of times it's really just scribbles. And then I'll do a layout, which is what I'm working on here. Now that's when I'll take the thumbnail, that really super sketchy art, and I start actually solidifying it a little bit more. So I work out the actual facial features, the expressions, the characters, like poses and acting, the character acting and whatnot. I solidify all my background elements and get everything set and ready to go, and then I will then submit this back to the writer. My buddy James, who's writing this story, this is iHand Voice. I'll have a link on all of my websites to all of the previously published iHand Voice chapters. You can go ahead and check out the comic itself. But yeah, so I'll send these layouts back to James, who will approve it, or if he sees anything that he might want to tweak or change or something that I may have missed, you know, he'll let me know, and in that way I can go ahead and make the adjustments for the final page itself. This stage here also gives me a chance to try out any little things that I'm not sure about, you know, so I can kind of test a few things here, and if it works I can stick to it. If not, I can always come back and adjust it later on. For right now, I'm essentially just going to work panel to panel. Hey Russ, how you doing? No, you're not late. You're just on time. Matter of fact, we're just getting going here. What's up, Telekin Xbox? How's it going? Appreciate you being here too. So yeah, definitely another somewhat of a test stream. I got the music going. So if the mic or the music volume needs adjusting, just let me know. All right, cool. Thanks, Russ. Appreciate it. Last week's test stream, I tried out a new music service online. Well, it wasn't even a music service. It was a Spotify playlist that was supposed to be safe for streaming, and then I ended up getting my audio muted on Twitch, and then a bunch of copyright claims on YouTube. So I went back to my old music streaming platform. Change this up a bit. And again, that's what this stage of it's really good. You can try different things, make the changes that you need to, and we're not overcommitting. Big focus of mine recently has been really to push my style a little bit. Trying to make it a little more expressive. Like I said, if if you comment and I don't respond, I have a few different screens up. I'm streaming to multiple platforms, so I'm not ignoring you. I just might have missed you. So I Hand Voice is a really cool story. It's about like a pretty much a supernatural, almost like a detective agency kind of, but supernatural, multi-dimensional. So a lot of super crazy things can happen in the story. Anything goes really. There's aliens, there's monsters, all set in a, you know, dingier New York City type setting and whatnot. Well, in various places, but yeah. So it's super fun and unique story in that way. We are using like public domain characters from like some old stories, which is a cool way to like reinvent some of these characters and bring some new life to them that have been around. But again, it's a super fun story. It's way open as far as what can happen. It's not limited by any certain any constraints, so that makes it really fun as an artist to work on. So you could really push the limits and come up with some cool stuff. So right now, like in the comic, there's like these aliens that have just showed up, and the team is trying to figure out what's going on. So there's a few different things happening. So they're trying to find out what's going on. We've got a character who's trying to go up and get into one of the spaceships, which you will hear on the next page. Then we got another one of the characters, though, who has this, there's this laser cannon that's been set up on top of this building, and they're shooting one of the spaceships as she's trying to get up there and get into the ship. So So we got some debris, chunks of metal coming off there. And we got our explosion. But I still want enough of the spaceship to show through so we know what's actually being shot, right? And this is a little bit more of a like a quirky story, so when coming up with like the spaceship design here, I went with a very traditional, typical saucer shape for the UFO. What's up, Chewy? Yeah, because I'm streaming to Twitch and YouTube, and I have to use, I can't use certain music, so I can't just play Spotify. I've got to pay for a music streaming website, so that way technically I've got the license to the music. Because if not, then I'll just get copyright claims or strikes on my Twitch and YouTube channels, which is a bummer. I wish they would work out that whole music thing. Like, it seems a little silly. I used a Safe for Stream playlist on Spotify last week, specifically safe for streaming, and I ended up getting my audio muted on Twitch and like 13 or 14 copyright claims on YouTube. And like the copyright claims are okay, they just, then you can't monetize the video, which is like a bummer because that's like one of the main reasons, right? But then at the same time, like if you get a copyright strike, that can hurt your channel long term and more permanently. So I always got to be careful with that. So that's essentially what the layout will end up looking like. I was able to tighten up some of the facial expressions, some of the posing, added some detail. Yeah, so if you're pretty happy with where this layout is. If you're new to the channel, either subscribe on YouTube or drop a follow and kick with Twitch. That support is really very much appreciated. Like the stream as well, that goes a long way. But if you're new on Twitch, Kick, or TikTok, you can always swing over to my YouTube page, NJ Valenti Art on YouTube. I do various how to draw tutorials there. I'll be posting some new videos soon. Alright, so you can see how like here in the thumbnail, like it's super loose. So I'm gonna come in here first and like establish some like actual anatomy and whatnot. Need to figure out interior of a helicopter. Looks like. Yeah, so I just try to establish a scene like this, and then I'll come in and I'll worry about the perspective. Yo, what's up, Tracy? Thanks for hopping in. First time streaming on TikTok. Figured I'd come on here and share some of the comic book work that I've been commissioned to do. Yeah, it's been a good week, Tracy. How about you? Cool, good to hear. So I'm working on this page here, and that beam that hit the helicopter on the last page did cause some damage to the helicopter itself. So I'm going to come back in here while I'm thinking about it. And add that. Just trying to think about the best place here to show that damage. Maybe part of the door got blown up. Damage from the shot there. We'll have to take into account, I mean, between the flow between each panel and the flow from page to page, you want to keep the things consistent as well. So if something happens to a character or some part of the environment, you want to make sure that if it comes up again later on in the issue or later on in the story, that whatever damage was done or whatever happened to it, that you keep that in mind. That way you can show that later on. If not, it's can kind of pull the reader out of the story. And like the number one thing as like a storyteller, as an artist, is to always keep the reader or the viewer immersed in the art, in the work. If at any point they have to like step away and go, oh, that doesn't look right, it immediately just pulls them out of the story, and it just kind of reminds them, oh yeah, I'm reading a comic or I'm watching a movie, and that kind of thing. Yeah, what's up, CoinQuest? Yeah, continuity is super important. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'm watching a show or a movie and like they didn't get that continuity quite right, and it will make you stop and just kind of pulls you right out of it, you know. It's really especially important for comics and graphic novels to be mindful of that kind of stuff. Because, like, you know, in a movie, like if you're watching a movie or even a TV show, you've got the sound, you've got the big picture, you've got the moving parts. It's easier to be immersed in that. Comics is a little bit harder, so it's easier to break that illusion in comics. So you really have to pay attention to that, and that's something that I really try to focus on quite a bit. I've been doing art professionally now for almost 15 years. And the majority of that time, about 12 of those years, it's been doing comics. It's only about the last maybe 3 to 4 years that I've gotten into the vector art and logo design work and stuff like that. So comics is something that I've done for a while and is near and dear to me. Appreciate you all being here and hopping on. I appreciate that support. I'm going to check with my script here and see. Make sure I'm on point here. some smoke filling up the helicopter cabin here, so I want to get that in there. She's gonna have to jump ship here. But yeah, like I said, I'll have the links to where you can see the past comic book work. I'll have to figure out how to get it on TikTok, but I'll have it on my Twitch, Kick, and YouTube pages. But yeah, I mean, if you haven't, swing over to YouTube, NJ Valenti Art on YouTube, and subscribe. That helps out so much. YouTube's where I publish all of my how to draw videos. Appreciate it, Tracy. CoinQuest, I use, I actually, no, I don't. I use, I have a drawing display, an XP pen drawing display that I have hooked up to my desktop computer. So I use that. I have played around with, I have played around on the iPad a bit, but I just never really got into it. I've always worked kind of at a desktop, or most of the comic work I've done over the years has been traditional comics, like, so I've worked on paper with pencil and pen and stuff. So I've got a big drafting table that I used to do all that work on. So I'm really kind of used to work on that larger area versus like an iPad. Yeah, the drawing displays are great. They're really, really great, and if you do enough digital art, it's certainly worth the drawing display. I've gotten a lot of use. This is my second one that I've had. Back in the day, I had a Wacom. I had a large 21-inch Wacom, and that lasted me a good 10, 11 years before that finally quit out on me. I think the video card went on it. So then I went over, I tried this XP pen, and I've enjoyed this quite a bit. Like back in the day, Wacom was pretty much the only drawing tablet and display out there for a while. But now you've got XP Pen, you've got Huion, and then there's another brand as well. And they're all pretty decent anymore. NJ Valenti Art. I just put it in chat, the name. I don't know if I could send a link. Probably can't. Yeah, I won't even bother, but yeah, NJ Valenti Art on YouTube. Back to my helicopter reference. Gotta say, I've never drawn a helicopter before, so. But like anything, it's good just to start, and then you'll kind of work out the details as you go. So I need to just get some lines in here, get some of the details going, and then I can come back and make sure I'm using the proper perspective, and make sure things are reading as I want them to. Yo, what's up, Johnny D? CoinQuest, I do freelance work. Oh, nice, Tracy. Cool. Glad that worked. Johnny D, master. Appreciate it, but I don't know about none of that. Just try to have fun with it, you know? But yeah, Johnny D, this is a comic that I'm working on, so we're just kind of at the like layout stage of it, so I'm just trying to get the basis of it down, and I'm going to send this back out to the writer, see if he wants anything changed or not, and then I'll get into the final actual line art of it. I'll try to probably do that on next week's stream. Yeah, if you're not like enjoying doing it, then why are you doing it? It's been a few years since I've done comic book work, so getting back into it now, I enjoy it more than I used to. I think I was taking it like way too seriously back in the day, and now I'm just trying to have fun with it. There's just some stories out there that I want to tell, stories that I've been working on with a couple of writer buddies of mine for a while that I'm looking forward to just getting out there and sharing, and this is one of them. This I Hand Voice comic is, I mean, I've been working on it on and off. We've been working on this comic for, 12 years or so. The writer of this comic was actually the first person to ever commission me for any sort of comic book work, so. We've been friends for a long time now. How's it going with you, Johnny? How's everything going? Oh, cool, Johnny. CoinQuest, any work that you might have seen? Probably not. I've done like some smaller anthology books that have been published, but nothing that's been like mainstream by any means. Nothing that would be in a bookstore or anything like that. Oh, as far as like work in general, yeah, definitely. I mean, I've done quite a few coin logos. Johnny D's. I've done Punkies recently. I have a post where I've got a bunch of the different like coin family logos that I've done for all the different coin family folks. I'll need to post that image on TikTok because I've done quite a few of them now. And I always really enjoy those logos. Those are very fun to do. Like the thought process for creating a logo versus creating a comic like this are so different. I really enjoy kind of switching between the two, you know? So I've got a few little vector, like I've got some little vector designs I need to do for like some headers on my Twitch and Kick page. So after drawing like this for, you know, a few hours, it will be nice to go ahead and do that vector art and just kind of switch, you know, switch gears a bit. Hey, thanks for the heart, Tracy. Need to scale this down a bit. All right, Johnny. Hey, thanks a lot for stopping by. See you later, dude. I want to mess around with this character a little bit. I'm going to add a new layer. All right, CoinQuest. Take care, man. Appreciate it. Alright, sorry if I missed any comments. I'm going between multiple screens. So sometimes it takes like just some back and forth and like redrawing some stuff a few times to get certain things to look right. I mean, trying to get her to jump into this spaceship and make it look good, you know, it takes a little bit of back and forth, a little bit of trial and error. Yeah, definitely, Tracy. And that's the thing, you just gotta kind of go with it, go with the trial and error, and just understand, there's going to be that back and forth. Some things are going to work out well, some things aren't going to work out well, but not to get discouraged when things don't work out well. The first time, the fifth time, or the 20th time, sometimes it takes a little while to really get it to look right, and that's, it's fine. Some things will take a little bit longer, other things will come along kind of a little bit quicker, so it just depends. And all of it just adds up overall to experience, and all of that experience just makes you better later on. So Clip Studio Paint's pretty cool. It's designed really to make comics, so it's got like a lot of really cool features for specifically making comics. We've got this frame border tool here, which is really neat. I've got my settings all set up to where I like them. And then we could really just click and drag and create our panels. And it'll create the panel shape for us to work in and the layers for it. That's not gonna work. Hey, thanks, Tracy. Appreciate you being here. Thank you. Hey, Leora. How are you doing today? I'm doing well. I'm glad to hear it. Just working on a comic project, so I figured I'd hop on here and share some of the process. Leora, I do essentially one page at a time. I'll do I'll thumbnail 3 or 4 pages. So essentially, I'll storyboard 3 or 4 pages, kind of work in batches. That way I can send the batches off to get approved by the writer at each stage, and then I'll go ahead and do, yeah, it's pretty much just chunks. I do like 3 or 4 pages at a time. So I'll storyboard all of them, and then I'll move into the final design for all of them. Doing them all at once is very beneficial, though. It helps keep you in the flow and make sure that everything kind of stays consistent. You keep that continuity up. So I do prefer to do it that way, but I break it into batches to make it a little bit more efficient time-wise. Yeah, right, or just like one chunk at a time. That way, it's also not like as overwhelming to sit down and think. Like, because usually comics are typically 22 pages, but you know you can have more or less depending. So yeah, sometimes to sit down and go, you got a whole 22 pages to. Because the thumbnailing process, like the storyboarding process, where you're taking it from script and you're starting to get things drawn and laid out and get the flow working, that is definitely the most mentally taxing part of it, at least for me, because that's where you know you're doing all the real storytelling, you're laying everything out. After you get all of the main stuff done in the thumbnails, you could tweak and change things through the layouts and then the final line art and stuff as well. But once you get to the actual drawing part, that's a little bit more relaxing. That kind of just, you know, you can kind of sit there, start zoning out again, and you're just going through the drawing process. But yeah, the thumbnailing, the storyboarding, the initial taking it from the script and starting to pull images out of it and things like that, that is definitely the most mentally taxing. Yeah, so like I'm constantly referring back to the script to make sure. Make sure I'm looking at everything correct. Absolutely, Laura. Thanks so much for coming by. Have a great evening. All right, I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it quits for the stream today. I appreciate everybody for swinging by. If you haven't, please subscribe or follow. Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Twitch, Kick, and TikTok. Yeah, I really appreciate your support. You can always donate to the channel directly with Buy Me a Coffee link. Should be on the main profile of each of my pages. Other than that, I will be back next week. We'll be drawing some more comics, and then look forward also to some new how to draw tutorials coming on YouTube soon. We'll go through how to draw faces, and we'll start getting into aspects of drawing characters, and then eventually into comics. I've also got a couple of logo designs that I'd like to show the entire process for vector art as well in Affinity Designer. So, Russ, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you as always. Have a great weekend. I know you got your part-time job coming up and whatnot. Have a great weekend. And yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for coming and hanging out. I appreciate it, and I will see you next time. Take care.